members of the Presidium and the Comrade delegates, a request has already been made that I should speak in English, but at the same time also in Hindi, a kind of peculiar admixture of Hindi and English. I don't know how to speak in that way. Anyway, mainly considering the present nature of the assembly, I shall speak in English, though I shall try sometimes to pass on to Hindi. Now, first of all, let me express my heartfelt greetings to all the delegates, those who have traveled from far away of the country and have taken much trouble to come here, active part in the deliberations of the All India Students' Conference, to chalk out your program of struggle, meaning a strategic program of struggle, having a clear-cut concept and idea about the present-day problems confronting our life. So, comrade, first of all, I want to tell you that though our country nowadays is passing through a very critical situation, political, economic, social, and more so in the field of cultural and ethical activities of the society. You have all noticed, and all the right-thinking persons of our country are noticing with much agony and anxiety that there is a steady decline in our moral and ethical standards of the society. Nowadays, it is not an isolated act of this sect or that sect or this group or that group's activity, that they do not bother about any standard, any norm of ethics, morality, so and so. Nowadays it is becoming just like a biological, natural affair, as if it seems to the common man that it is a race nowadays living in India, those who have got a biological, natural aptitude of not making any concern towards any kind of values. Why? Why such an impossible phenomena, a heart-breaking phenomena developed in our country? You will have to probe into the deep of the problem, because I think this is a very important question of our life. Even an important question, so important a question, if cannot be correctly handled, if we cannot correctly handle this question and find out the correct answer, I am afraid that whether we can correctly lead a political and battles in our country also to its logical conclusion. Concrete steps to solve the economic problems of our country. Because as you know, political, economic and all the social problems nowadays are linked with certain questions, vital questions, without solving which you cannot solve any of the item of these questions. That is the question relating to the present power setup, politico-economic and social system of the country. That is related and the particular and peculiar character of our economy, which we call capitalism, a capitalist economic system. Everything, every society are coming up from these material base and from these two important factors. The capitalist state, the state controlled by the exploiting bourgeois class, to the character, class character of the state.
When the class exploitation, class struggle,
Like the process of change in society. We have to understand this question, because if they are really interested in bringing social transformation, to bring about a fundamental change in social system, then they will be learning the activity or the process of development of class struggle. Unless and until we get to know this, we may have a dream of social change, but we cannot have an impact or influence on that. Our action will be a blind one, in spite of our dedication. I believe it and I mean it. Whoever living in a class-divided society talk in a general term without making any special reference to the classes, national interest, nation, social development, social interest, they are either or speak, they are hypocrites. Either they are ignorant, fools, Philistines, or they are why? To speak of national interest, to speak of the development of our society, the interest of the students, community. Take, for example, the interest of the students' community, the interest of education. Such are the questions. You speak in this terminology, you pose in this way. But if you do not correlate it with the class interest, class angularity, its relationship with the existing class struggle continuously going on and taking place in the society, whether you are conscious of it or not, that is your business. You may be ignorant of the existing class struggle, the impact of which have got a great influence in your life and thinking. So, if you don't correlate these questions with these, then you will invariably commit a mistake, in spite of your honesty and dedication. Honesty and dedication is an ABC condition. It's a starting point without which nothing can be done. Because if a good line, a correct theory, correct line is grasped, even then if a man is not dedicated and honest, they cannot do it. They cannot give it a shape. They cannot translate it into action. So to translate any idea, be it real or unreal, if any man, revolutionaries or counter-revolutionaries, if they want to mean something, if they want to change the power structure, if they want to do revolution or counter-revolution, they need a dedication, they need a kind of discipline, they need a determination. So these are all fundamental things without which you cannot do anything. But the next important question is, without which, in spite of dedication and power of sacrifice, you can do nothing. Rather, you will do something harmful, because everything, when you do, if it is wrong, if it cannot serve the purpose of the people, if it cannot accelerate the process of change, then it is not neutral, not nothing. It will invariably, directly or indirectly, have an adverse effect on the progressive movement. It will strengthen the reactionaries. Every action has its reaction. If it is correct, there will be a correct reaction. If it is incorrect, it will have no reaction, not that. If it is incorrect, it will have a bad reaction, giving scope for the reactionaries to consolidate this way or that way their power, their existing system. So the question of having a correct baseline is of fundamental importance. You cannot bypass it or cannot look at it with a non-serious attitude. That let us struggle, let us work. Yes, you will have to work. As I have said, if you don't work with a bunch of good program and beautiful noble ideology, you are completely impotent to produce anything. You are worthless. You cannot do anything. So that is a primary condition necessary. Dedication, work, discipline, going to the masses, thrashing it, pushing it, educating them with a view to organize them, with a view to develop the political power of the people. Why we go to the people? Not to simply educate them. Education here got a specific purpose, to organize them, to develop in them a political power, invincible in nature, which can ultimately determine the destiny of the nation, overthrowing the despotic rule of the country. This is why we go to the masses, not simply with an aptitude of serving them, as the Ramakrishna missionaries often do. They rather confuses the issue. Going to the people is a great thing, but going to the people with a wrong remedy, choose the thing. Then in that case, I shall speak, leave the people. It will they, those who will one day find out their own way. But don't give them wrong remedy. Don't confuse them. Don't mislead them. Don't take advantage of their wrong understanding, prejudices, many obsolete ideas still prevailing in their mind. Don't take advantage of it. So our business, our purpose is to go to the masses, to educate them, with a view to organize them, the sole purpose of which, even organizing them, is not to lead their struggle on day-to-day economic issues or favorings, ultimately give birth of a political power of the people, so that one day people, as a political force, can rise up to the occasion, take up arms, and decide the destiny of the nation. So our country is passing through a critical situation in which talk of a nation, national interest, educational reform, interest of the student and people must be talked in terms of class references. If it is an interest of the student, whether it reflects the interest of the majority of the people, so far the educational problem is concerned, or it is an educational problem you are approaching, which is linked only with the interest of the minorities of the society, those who have usurped all the wealth and the property, the means of production, ruining the country, leading the country to ruination. So, in a class-divided society, educational reforms, educational questions, students' interest, all these questions can be posed from two angularities, from two world outlook. One reflecting the world outlook of the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, the exploiter. One aiming at to tune, pattern, man the education in such a way as to develop a sense of neglect of duty, a complete social indifference to the social problems and political problems of the country, to develop a mental faculty which is not bent on logic and science, but naturally bent on belief, obscure ideas, religion, and this kind of thing. Another is to open the gate for reasoning, scientific understanding, for a scientific faculty of mind, bent of mind. That is another which invariably will be conducive to the growth and development of the revolutionary movement of the country, meaning the movement which is so urgent a necessity to bring about a fundamental social, political and economic change in our country. That is a movement aiming at revolutionary overthrow of the bourgeoisie from power and free our production system, thereby science, morality, ethics, technology, educational institution, philosophy, values from the tentacles and grips of capitalist exploitation. So there can be only two approaches in relation to the educational problem and educational reforms. Not one single question. So if it is a capitalist country, as I have discussed in the last day's session, an open session, a few questions that it is capitalism. This way or that way, what is the character of the capitalism? Whether it has already become an imperialist country. One may have many questions to debate. And I don't think it is necessary now in this session to go on fighting these questions. We will have ample time to thrash on these questions, discussing, rediscussing, and ultimately coming to a conclusion. But one thing is sure, that it is a capitalist system, that here we have got a state on the power of which the bourgeois class of our country is installed, and that they are doing everything possible for the consolidation of the capitalist system in our country. And that the capitalist relations of production and the capitalist motive force of production has already become obsolete. So far the forces of economics is concerned. So it is giving birth of crisis after crisis. One measure is taken to come up from, to get out of the impact of a crisis, only to be swamped by a greater crisis. And this is happening in our country. We are coming out of one crisis only to re-enter into a more graver crisis. In this way, our economy cannot have and is not getting a breathing space for development. As capitalism enjoyed in the early stage of the 18th century, when it developed on the basis of free competition, then international capitalism, its role and character was revolutionary. Nowadays, as a world system, capitalism has become moribund. It has reached to its highest stage, to the stage of imperialism, and it has become reactionary. So it is giving birth of crisis after crisis, the reflection of which is being reflected in the superstructure. Superstructure meaning the ideological, political, ethical, cultural, philosophical, artistic views of the society. These we mean the superstructure of the economic base. So the economic uncertainty, the crisis in the early days of capitalism, when capitalism was revolutionary, the superstructure of that capitalist economic base was humanism, bourgeois humanism. That was a time relatively progressive and revolutionary. Provided yardstick and guidance to the students, to every member of the society. Comrades, I don't like to speak in the air. That is not my habit. When I speak concentrating my entire mind into the subject. Naturally, I have the right to demand from you to try to concentrate your attention onto the subject. Sometimes it may seem to you a bit stiffer, but you have to break through the situation. You cannot do it easily. You will have to learn and relearn. You will have to educate and re-educate yourself. You will have to know many things in spite of many difficulties, because without knowing things, you cannot influence the condition. You will have to play a decisive and leading role. So you must be attentive, careful. You are a student in revolutionary university. If you really dare that you students have the courage and determination to lead our country, to deliver something good, then you must be attentive. Otherwise it is pointless to deliver a speech on this or that subject. I don't find any reason. Comrades, so now I will not take much time, because many a thing to discuss before you. What I want to highlight is that our problems, educational problems, problem of unemployment. After completing your education, you are faced with the question of getting a service. Not as an individual revolutionary cadre, a revolutionary cadre dedicated to fight and for the cause, to go to the masses, to organize them. I am not discussing about them. I am discussing about the large community of our youths and students. Those who may be the supporter of revolution, but those who will not be individually as a commander or soldier or a determined cadre for revolution. It is their problem. After completing the course, they will face the problem of unemployment. And they will feel at that time all the concomitant evil. Nowadays, what they do not feel in them, when they will enter into the family life, they will marry, they will have children, they will start feeling that in what kind of social environment they are living. Their all dreams are shattered. Then they will find that their all dreams are shattered. Because they cannot live in isolation. The entire social malady will have a direct influence even in their private life. Even in their private life. They cannot even keep their private life sacred. Save that. That will also be polluted by this polluted environment, social environment. This is a must. They will learn. So it is better that without dreaming such kind of useless life, we dedicate ourselves for bringing about a fundamental change in the society and thereby pave the way for a freest, widest and speediest development of all individuals of society, political, cultural, economic and ethical. So for that, you will have to adhere a revolutionary ideology. MarxismLeninism, scientific socialism, which speaks in terms of class references, which speaks to you that if you want to bring about a fundamental change, you will have a researchive mind. You will have to adopt an aptitude of continuously and constantly learning from the masses, knowing the problem, and thereby finding your way, clearly seeing the way, crystallizing the path. So, this is why Marx one day told the whole world, the oppressed people, that don't worry. There may be arms, ammunitions, guns, anti-aircraft guns in the hand of the capitalist classes. They may have mechanized army, but MarxismLeninism, a science, is such a powerful arm in your hand. If you are able to apply it, if you know how to apply it, and by applying you can grasp the process of development of society, if you can trace the inherent hidden law which are governing the activity of the development, activity of the forces which stipulates the development of society, that means if you can know the law of development of class struggle, then you will acquire an invincible power. You will become the conqueror of the modern world. You will conquer it. No one can compete with this. So it is a decisive arm in the hand of the working class, masses, toilers. So you want knowledge which is creative, which is decisive, which can provide you, which can give you such power in your hand so that you can see those hidden laws which are governing the entire course of the development of society, with the help of which you can trace the specific laws governing the specific class struggle taking peculiar condition of the class struggle appearing, developing in a particular environment of a society, given society. So Marxism-Leninism is a science, must be carefully studied, re-studied, studied in a way so that you can apply, studied in a way so that you can deliver it to the masses, common masses, not to write a book, not to quote it. You can put it in such a way that people can understand it. As Marx said, Marxism is the philosophy of life. And as our experiences, as far I am concerned, I have addressed many schools of the illiterate peasants and workers. What I have experienced, if Marxism-Leninism, dialectical materialism, even the intricate problem of the science can be spoken in a popular language and in a language and in a style which is understandable for the peasants also, then the peasants do understand, the worker do understand being illiterate better than an intellectual. It is my personal experience, because I personally take these classes in the rural areas, in the urban areas, in the industrial workers. So I don't believe that it is such a stiff subject, cannot be apprehended, traced, or even understood by the illiterate masses. Rather, it is the philosophy of the illiterate masses, downtrodden people, can be best understood by those people, if provided it is put before them, placed before them in such a way, in such a language, and in such a style as can be apprehended by them. So if going from this conference, each one of you individually and all of you collectively, meaning individually and collectively, if you take the place, look at the hall, how many people, young people you have gathered here. If you are determined to break through, undertake all the burdens and burden, remember, those who can sacrifice at the initial stage for ideology and idea, they are not many people, few people, young, bright and students. In every country it is the young peoples, those who come forward, being influenced or imbibed by an ideology, and being completely dedicated, go to the masses and rouse the masses, organize them, help them in creating their political power. Then the time comes for the masses for action that we call revolution. So before that, we'll have to travel many steps, arduous, torturous, painful, but happier. I say happier and honorable way. Yes, in this way of fighting things, it may be painful, sometimes torturous, but it is an honorable way. Here you can die, but you will die with honor, raising your head top. You shall not die with humiliation, just like a dog rotting in the street. So if to die, don't die begging. If to die, don't die humiliating yourself. If to die, die with honor. And you have got only one way to die with honor, that is taking active part in bringing about a revolutionary transformation of the society. And for that purpose, you will have to organize yourself. You will have to organize yourselves in thousands. You will have to take active part and initiative individually and collectively. Go to the masses, organize them, help them in creating political power so that they can take up arms and bring about a fundamental change in our society, overthrowing the bourgeoisie from power, replacing capitalism, installing socialism. All best wishes for you. I here conclude thanking you.